Are you scared of risk? And when I make the point about risk, I don't mean like on a financial side or within the business. I mean just you, your personal life. Are you scared of taking risks? Okay. And perhaps to some level, maybe understandable. But what would you rather? Or what do you believe is more risky? The likelihood of you getting into a car crash and dying today, or you the next time that you fly in a plane, that it falls out of the sky, crashes, burns, and you die? Now, a lot of people, for whatever reason, tend to feel like flying in a plane is going to be much more risky than just driving a car. But if you look at the statistics, driving a car is way more likely and way more risky of an activity because of the fact that you are much more likely to eventually crash and die. But yet, for whatever reason, risk is somehow based on perception. And so from this, what we want to go ahead and understand, where is the risk and what is risk, and especially in the terms of life, because ultimately life is risky. There's no part of this that isn't risky. Life is inherently full of it. From the moment that we wake up until the moment that we go to sleep, risk follows us moment to moment in every single decision that we make. There is some sort of risk that we take. And so the thing is I urge you, this thing called life, don't take it too seriously either, because at the end of the day, it's still going to kill you. Now let's dive into why life is just risky. Welcome to today's Gen Ed class. So life is risky. There's just no way around that. I mean, heck, how incredible it is that you're alive, that I'm alive, that all of us are alive, and that all of us are alive right now. Given all of the past plagues and wars and all other forms of conflict on top of geographical shifts that have caused people to be and live the way that they have in the past, and all of those risks that they took, and yet somehow we're here. How incredible. But at the same time, how likely is it that the moment you walk out of this house that you're going to die, right? What if? And so these are the types of questions that we may not necessarily ask ourselves. How risky is it for me to step out of my house? But we will generally ask ourselves on a day-to-day basis, like, how risky is it for me to go ahead and try and balance on this short beam when I'm 47 years old and I haven't gone to the gym in 20 years? Like, that is a genuine risk to look at, right? But so the point is that life is still risky at the end of the day. Because here's for myself the biggest pet peeve that I just cannot get over, and it just gets under my skin so much anytime I see it. And it's this sense of, I just want to be safe. I want to do, the safe thing. I just want to have a paycheck. I want to have that security, that certainty. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? How is the paycheck supposed to create certainty for you? How is that supposed to create security for you? All you're doing is you're just relying on someone else to make sure that you have enough work to justify you getting paid for it. That's all it is. And granted, you may have a skill that is useful, and so that other people want to go ahead and reach out to you and hire you and pay you for that type of work and however many hours that they can put in front of you. But the reality is, where's the security if that person that employs you goes bankrupt, or the business goes out of business? Or at the time of this recording, it's just 2 years ago and there's a freaking pandemic, quarantine, whatever, and you have all the governments force businesses to shut down, and maybe you weren't ready to pivot, or the business wasn't ready to pivot, and so with that, it got lost under the wave like a bunch of other businesses, and just like a ton of other people, all the same ones that are preaching for security, for certainty, for knowing that I can definitely count on this. Shut up, dude. There is a risk that you took, and that risk was you going through the narrative, going through and following through exactly as everyone suggests that you're supposed to do, because this is the safe move, because there is no risk, because here's the guarantee. God, do I hate that word sometimes. Guarantee. Guarantee what? What are you guaranteeing? Oh, because I give you money, like now I'm going to be successful? How the heck does that work? Like, you can go ahead and pay for this, but if you don't show up to class, like, one, how do you expect to pass? But two, why do you feel like you deserve anything? And three, the risk was clearly there. You put up the money. You knew that the risk be that if you put this money up and you don't follow through with it, then it's just a waste of money. And that's a risk, right? But people also don't, for whatever reason, tend to perceive college as a risk. It's still a risk. You're putting up money and time and energy for an ideal payout. And it's always framed as a guarantee. Oh, go to school, get a piece of paper, you will be successful, you will definitely have a job, you will be secure, you will have safety in your financial future, in your employment future. No, that's not true at all. How many people have degrees that that's not the case for? How many people have degrees that are working the same either entry-level jobs or whatever the case scenario, and it's not the degree. It's because perhaps they are not willing to do the things that must be done because there is an inherent risk. Because, oh my goodness, if I work that much, then I'm going to feel tired and I'm not like going to be as great at blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, yeah, but what's the other option? Let's say you don't go ahead and do what you know that you got to do. And so you risk this short-term satisfaction for the long-term pain, the long-term regret. Because again, life is inherently full of risks. Whenever you have conversations with someone, I mean, heck, why aren't you, actually, I think some people nowadays might actually genuinely feel this way just because the quarantine and not getting enough social practice with other humans. But it's like, what if someone was just going to kill you right there? You let a word out, right? Now, some people genuinely do have this fear. I don't hope that you have this fear because it's not a rational fear. But with it, there's risk inherent to everything. The job that you take, the career that you pursue, that could end up being a career that is completely irrelevant in 5 years from now. But the point is that risk should not be something that necessarily stops you from doing it. Risk should be something that educates you as to whether or not you're willing to do something. And this can then be how risk averse you might be, whether you are a very risky person or you don't really care. But again, the point is that risk is always there. And so the thing is that, for example, putting yourself out there, sure, it's risky. You might risk your ego. You might risk your emotional feelings. You might risk even some money because of putting yourself out there. But there's also the exact same type of risk for you not doing so. The risk of not meeting new people, not growing yourself, not growing your potential, not gaining new opportunities and new options for yourself, right? That's a risk too. Like risking living a shitty, low quality life. That's a legitimate risk that a lot of people maybe don't take into account. Because again, life is inherently full of risk. So to not do something because it is scary, because it is risky, is not a reason to not do something. It can be some factors to take into account, but again, life is risky. Everything you do from the moment you wake up to the moment that you go to sleep, tomorrow's not guaranteed. You've only got today. And if you're sitting there, it's like, oh yeah, hashtag YOLO. No. You only die once. You live every single day. And life, again, is inherently risky, but that doesn't mean that we don't put ourselves out there to experience with full arms everything the day has to offer. Because ultimately, that might be the day that's just the day. We don't necessarily have that call because life, the risks, how many freak accidents have you heard of? I mean, I grew up in Miami and I'm 24 now and I've already heard of more than enough accidents that I care to hear about. Just people going out on the boat who are no longer around anymore, unfortunately. People who ended up just trying to have a fun time at a concert or at a party and ended up getting something that didn't lead to a fun time, and in fact led to a very short time. Whatever the case scenario might be, we never really know. We can do our best, but this also doesn't mean we live inside a big plastic bubble. Take off your mask, okay? There's going to be risk. There's supposed to be risk. Our body is designed to mitigate risk. It's like when people are trying to get healthy and they wonder, how do I detox, right? How do I detox my body? The fuck are you talking about? You mean what it normally does on a day-to-day basis? Like, that's literally what your body's day-to-day function is. It is going to constantly try to detox itself. That's what your bladder, when you're peeing everything out, the urea, the yellow stuff, that's your kidneys filtering stuff out. Then you've got the other parts of your body. I'm not going to get into an anatomy lesson, but again, risk is there. It is expected. And our bodies are designed to go through and manage the risk as we put ourselves in these situations. Because the fun part too, like I always think of this also in terms of business when it comes to risk, that new people can come into a market and completely change the environment. So where right now taking a certain action can seem very risky, but what you don't notice is 3 feet from gold, an innovation that dramatically lowers how much something may be and then allows what once was a risk to become a huge advantage. Easy example, Elon Musk with the Cybertrucks and going ahead and noticing that there is a really great metal that would be absolutely perfect, but the thing is that there wasn't enough of a supply for it and would just be a lot cheaper though if he could make this work. So how could he make this work? And justified it with the Cybertrucks, purchasing way more, dramatically purchasing a lot more to then increase the amount of supply. And from there, ooh, bless me, bless you. Thank you for getting to witness my first sneeze on an episode. But from there, being able to witness, you just got to witness that. But so really just being able to witness when it comes to dealing with this different aspect. I'm going to go ahead and continue moving into my notes as we go ahead and talk about everything. But life is risky. See, you know, how could I have not known that I would end up making this, right? I just risked a point in time where I could embarrass myself, but I can also just use this as an opportunity to whatever. Because look, how do you know? How do I know? How do any of us know? None of us know. That's the point. Life is risky. It doesn't mean you don't move. It doesn't mean you encase yourself. It doesn't mean you close yourself off from the world. Go out there and experience it. That's literally the whole point. We're supposed to experience new things and risks, but don't be dumb. I'm not saying put stupid risks. I'm not saying go hang off a skyscraper like some of these people. But, I mean, risking money is not bad. Risking a little bit of time is not bad. A year is not a lot of time. It's not much to risk. Okay? Energy, you should risk energy constantly. Because energy, you just go to sleep. You eat food and you go to sleep and you just try to be mindful to your body. Energy replenishes itself. Time, you only have a certain amount, but you have about 80 years on average. And money, you're always going to have more. So why not risk it all so that you can have it all? Because ultimately, does any of it matter? I don't know. But you can create purpose behind it. And that in and of itself will have a risk that you're just going to have to swallow and make the call. Be decisive. Decide for yourself. And decide as well that not only you go ahead and take the risks when it comes to your business, but go ahead and take the risk in sharing the Gen Ed Show to all of your friends and all of your family so that they get to hear all the things that you're learning and the ways that you're growing. Hit the subscription button. Hit the notification bell so that you know when the next episodes come out, and we will see you in the next Gen Ed class. Hope you have a good one.